All right. So my questions for you would be, what are the lessons that I will teach during my first week?
Okay, so my question to you is, are you more comfortable starting with reading or with math? The first week.
I'm pretty good at both.
Okay.
Maybe math as a sub anyways. Math seems to translate, like,
There's a lot less routine with
right? And like less interpretation, whatever. So maybe the first week I should do something more black. I mean, what do you suggest?
I think so. Just with the reading program we do, there are so many transitions and so many pieces of it. I'd like you to, you're going to come in a shadow, but
Yeah.
I'd like you to see how that's run. I would suggest math simply because the flip charts will be done, the transitions are easier, that sort of thing. If we do math, you're going to be covering estimating length. The kids have already covered inches, centimeters, and the measuring tools. So you're going to start lesson 19, which again is estimating length.
Awesome. That's what I was kind of thinking too, is like, with school and everything else, the whole like, I do it, we do it, whatever, like with a lot of the stuff with reading or whatever, then I know that, but I don't say it the same as you,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? So like, I'd rather get in that process.
This program is really nice because a whole lesson is set up. You'll see how it's set up, but it's really set up. I do it. I'm going to show you guys.
Oh, sure.
We're going to have you try it, and see how you do, and then I'm going to show you, and then we're going to practice together a day, and then you're going to practice with a small group, and then you're going to practice with a partner, and then you're going to practice by yourself. So it really, it really does that day to day. It's set up really well. Yeah, you still do the I do, you do, or I do, we do, you do daily, but the whole week is set up beautifully to mimic.
Whoa, that's really nice.
Yeah,
like reinforcing really that they really know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Classroom expectations and routines. You have anything that...
This group especially, yes. We are reviewing our expectations, reviewing our routines just about daily with this group. Today even we went back and walked the hallway for practice, and how do we do that? So this group really, really needs that repeated reinforcement for those rules. You're gonna see we have a lot of routines in here.
Good.
Yeah, I have a lot of getting their attention, calling them, when we transition. They know that, and you'll kind of hear those. You're gonna play around with your own, like I said, but it's gonna be good for you to come in and see. Our transitions are a big deal with these guys.
Yeah, especially I feel like at this age, like if it's not like routine or something, their world gets boggled up.
And we also started a new strategies behaviorally out at recess, and it carries into here. So we'll talk about the 4 R's, and we started using Kelso's Choice in our school too. So I'll show you those also when we get out there. You're gonna hear me talking about those.
Okay. I feel like we just had to do, or I just did a big assignment, whatever it was, about the standards that our rubric's going to be grading us on for this whole thing. And somebody had broken one down, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, content knowledge. Like the teacher knows what they're talking about, whatever. And I said, like, I think that, like, especially as a sub, it sucks to hold that book for me. I hate that because I feel like you got to get them kids to trust that you know what you're talking about. Otherwise,
well, and a large piece of that is being there that first year. This is our second year with this math program, and we just feel way more confident teaching it this year.
Yeah.
So a year's worth of experience in the content for sure helps you out.
Yeah.
It does help. Read it ahead, read it the night before, read it a week before, know your lesson, so you have your tools ready at hand, you have all that kind of stuff. But it really does, it helps to have the experience and to know the curriculum, to know what you're going to do ahead.
Right. The worst part I hate is like when somebody asks a question or something, and I'm like,
Yeah, but you'll learn that you can roll with it.
Yeah.
Too. You'll learn that.
That's all I got right now.
And you were talking about the procedures and stuff in class. a few years ago, I hated the class.
Oh, me too.
I hated the 1, 2, 3 eyes on me. However, it works in certain situations.
Yeah.
You know, and these kids are used to it, and it's a good, quick, catches their attention.
Yeah.
You just have to find which ones work best for you.
Yeah. I remember last year when I actually worked here, then as a para or whatever, sub-para, same, and like I never knew what class was like, class, 1, 2, 3, some of them do this thing, some of them have a doorbell.
Right.
But that it, like, and I thought it was really stupid, I'll be honest with you, I thought it was really stupid.
Right.
But yeah, that
Universal,
gets their attention.
it's class. Every class knows that here,
Yeah.
which is great. I do a different one sometimes in my own classroom, but I know that every class will respond with class.
Right.
Which is great that you have that.
Right.
that
I've been
united
actually
front.
busting out the class lately
Yeah.
in sub spots because I'm like, whoa, there, excuse me, gut.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you say class, they're like,
And a big key is to wait. And I know it'll feel like an eternity.
yeah,
But if you want to keep them rolling, you've got to wait.
okay.
And it is at first, when you first get your class in the year, it's gonna feel like you're waiting most of the day.
Yeah. That's what I feel
But-
like now. I'm like,
yeah.
they're not listening.
Right.
This isn't working.
So you just wait. And today I looked at my clock and I started my clock and they're like, ooh, she's serious. We're gonna
Yeah.
get some, yep, you're right. And
All
I'm
right.
gonna wait until we're all ready.
Okay. Kind of sets the example, would you say?
Absolutely, yep.
The next one is discuss learning standards, units, and objectives that will be covered while you're working in the classroom.
Okay, so reading it's we're visiting back, so summarizing, they're going to talk about that. They're probably going to talk about sequencing. They're coming back on those types of lessons in reading. Like I said, reading is a little more technical because we're also doing the Joe Robinson reading station, which has helped significantly with our intensive kids with their reading fluency.
Right.
So we definitely have been focusing on that, whatever that vowel sound, long vowel sound, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a huge focus in our reading lately.
Okay.
So I'll let you know as that piece comes along. And again, it's a week-long unit,
Okay.
a week-long lesson, I should
Right.
say, a week-long lesson. And within that lesson, there will be components. You're going to work on a skill, a strategy, vocabulary, fluency, phonics. So all of those pieces are within that unit. Math, I can tell you for sure, we're going to be estimating length. And then lesson 20, we're in measurement and geometry right now in math.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So.
Really?
Yeah. So we only have 28 lessons in this. We're going to hopefully get through the whole book this year, which will be great. We didn't get through it last year. So, yeah, we'll be on 19.
19 to 28 for math.
So 19 is estimating length, 20 is comparing length, 21 is add and subtract length, and then we're getting into line plots. So length, line plots, and then geometry.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know, I'm gonna have my kids distribute these, so it just
Oh, awesome.
has their name on it.
Yes.
So, is that okay?
Yeah, that looks
Okay.
fantastic. That's 5 weeks.
I was subbing at Mackay last week, and they brought, like those book of lifesavers for all the classified. So they're like, oh, are you? And I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, oh. And you could tell they're like
I'm
so
so
embarrassed, like,
sorry.
oh, we don't have anything for you. I'm like, it's totally fine.
So that's what and we really, the schools are really, really focusing on staying with this curriculum and just that
Okay, the whole
cohesiveness. Yep.
Okay. Standards, learning standards. So that's gonna be the same, like the standards and objectives are all gonna play into our lessons.
Yep.
Right?
They're
Like,
coming from.
just like you guys write that stuff. Oh yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Like that never used to be a thing.
Right.
And then when I moved back here and started being in the classroom, I'm like, what even does that mean? And now I'm like, oh, well, that's
And
helpful.
Even 10 years ago, we had to define our own objectives, and then those objectives we then have to see where they fall in with the Common Core, and so we'd have to write our own, you know, ORRA, whatever it
Yeah.
was, and the number and everything. It's so nice that it's all there. So I'll show you where you can find that in the curriculum. Yeah, it's all done for you.
I've
which
written
is
so many lessons
really
based
nice.
off of my own imagination,
Right.
like based off standards, whatever. Like one of them I picked was like 4 NBT 4, whatever it was, like being able to add and subtract.
So that's where, and so many teachers worry about I can't be creative. However, if you use this as a framework and you use
Yeah.
this, you know, the curriculum as your framework, you can be completely creative within that
As long as you cover the objective, right?
Yeah. So that's where the creativity comes. Again, a year or two into it, stick with the curriculum, do that. You're going to learn it so well that you're going to be like, ooh, I can bring in this
Oh,
to
sure.
Realia. I can bring this piece in so the kids can see. Today, they had no idea what a telephone pole was. And they're asking them in the curriculum, can you use a ruler to measure a telephone
Oh,
pole?
sure.
So my kids are like, sure, it's what you have, like a telephone. What do you put a No. So we had to talk about, they don't know that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So that's where my knowledge from last year, okay, a lot of my ELLs don't know a telephone pole.
Right.
So we bring that reality in, we go out, we look, oh.
Right.
All
Not
of
with
a
a
sudden
ruler.
it becomes,
Right. Becomes irrelevant to
Yep.
them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I have one more question? Work in the classroom. Oh, did you have a second to look at that rubric
Yeah,
at all?
I have it,
You did?
actually, yeah.
Awesome. I have it right here.
So we have a different, standard for each lesson that you do, or for each lesson that I observe.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the first one is student development.
Right. I just had to do a big research project on standard 1 and 2, right? And I had said that basically standard 1 was just about differentiating for your students' needs, wouldn't you say?
Which, again, is becoming, if you haven't studied ACEs or you haven't done any work with that, that might be something that you want to look into eventually, because all of the brain development research, the studies really show that a kid's
What is it called?
ACEs, ACES, and it's basically their brain trauma that they're bringing into the classroom.
Oh, sure, okay.
And ACEs is just a score that they're going to give them. So anything over, I think it's a 3, these kids are coming into the classroom and their brain will not allow them to learn. They're just on survival mode. And so, you know, you're banging your head against the wall going, I'm teaching you. Why aren't you learning this?
Yeah.
I'm teaching you. And
Yeah.
all that kid is thinking is, I don't have any food at home. What am I going to deal with when I get home? Their
Right.
brain is shutting off and they're not, they can't tell you that. So that is a huge piece of it is knowing the background of these kids, knowing where they're coming from, making sure they understand they're safe, and they're not going to feel that safety until a good month or 2 into your classroom.
Right.
And then they're going to feel safe.
Right.
Most of them, you're going to have 1 or 2 that they may not get there that year because they're in such a traumatic place. So yeah, that is a huge piece of this.
So know your students, right?
Yeah.
Like know who you got coming in.
Yeah.
You know, like we've done all this stuff about like trying to make it a positive relationships and
Yeah.
environment and like get to know them, you know, even outside of school, because when you connect with them, like,
Absolutely.
hey, I heard you guys won your, you know, they're like, whoa, nice hit in your T-ball game, whatever. Like all of a sudden they're like,
Yeah.
you're
She
interested in me,
cares.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
it. That is a big piece of it.
Okay.
I know the curriculum. I know we have to teach all this stuff, but you're not going to be able to teach it unless you can connect with these kids.
I just feel like even as a sub, whatever, is like if you don't get that buy-in from
Yeah.
them kids, then like it stops, and then like of course then it goes to the parent, and you know like whatever it is, as far as buy-in. But oh yeah, and English language learners, which I totally used that advice you gave me from last time about like hitting hard on like vocab and stuff like that for different lessons to try.
And that's why I was just saying there are going to be things that they look at you and they're going to say, yeah, I understand. but like a telephone pole.
Yeah.
I mean, even nowadays, they use telephone poles because we have cell phones.
Right.
So those kind of things, yeah, just kind of scan through and look at not just the vocabulary, but the robust vocabulary within the lesson.
Oh, sure.
And check those words out and make that just a separate vocab. Don't test them on it. Just put it out there, though, and help them understand what those words mean.
Right, because when they all can understand that like fully, then they'll probably be able to understand how it applies to our
It'll help them wrap
situation.
their brains around what
Okay.
you're really trying to teach. Yeah.
All right. What do I do?
And so the guy, the 1, 2, 3, 4,
Mhm.
just like us, we're not always going to get 4s
Oh, right. Yeah.
because we're
I'm hoping to not
constantly-
get 4s till the end, maybe. Hopefully. one.
Well,
maybe.
yeah, and
Maybe.
even that. I mean, I don't even get 4s at this point across the board.
Right.
So it's one of those things that it's like, I don't want to say over the top because that's not really what it is, but striving for 3s will be a
Right.
great thing. Yeah.
Like I remember last year, then my kid came home from kindergarten or whatever it is with the report card with like all 2s
Mhm.
from the first quarter, and like I was not happy.
Right.
So like I went to that conference with that thing like, what is all this?
My
Like
kid
what's
always
happening?
gets
Like
A's,
I
what's
need to
going
get like what? And she's like you explained like
They're
you
progressing.
had to you had to start the process, and like that's probably what I got to do too. Obviously, right? Like forever. So okay, definitely, yeah, definitely. 4 is distinguished.
Mhm.
Probably,
Tough,
I'm
yeah.
probably not going to be getting distinguished in student teaching if I had to guess, like not right off the bat, but I'm definitely going to strive for that goal.
That's what we're striving for.
Okay, now the second one was, it seems like a lot of these had to do with more, I guess just like really, like, did you read through those at all? Like,
And I've been through it with my
Oh,
other
yeah,
student
that's
teacher,
right.
but it's nice that they actually break them down and make you specifically focus on, okay, this week I'm gonna look at this area.
yeah, just so
because-
you can kind of sharpen your,
Right, it just becomes second nature to us and we don't think that we're looking at that area, but we really are.
Right.
So it really is good for you to see how much is going into this,
right?
you know.
Well, that's
We're
what I
not
think.
just teaching math and reading
No,
anymore.
no, no. I wish. I wish.
That'd be nice if we could just teach.
I know. It seems like a lot of these standards and like the the score, whatever you get, is so much about just really knowing your students and how you're going to differentiate for them. Like, of course, then there's like the ELL or median student needs and knowing your content, learning environments. But like when I went through and kind of summarized how that would apply to my student teaching per se, whatever it was, like it seemed like a lot of it really came down to, I guess, or do you think that or not? Like, do you think I'm on the wrong track? Like a lot of the stuff that was pulled out, like understanding learning, student needs, development of appropriate instruction, and like on this standard, like collaborative learning, learning climate. It didn't seem like there was as much, obviously, about like the curriculum, obviously, but about classroom management.
Which is nice because depending on where you go, my curriculum's set.
Right.
So I am making lesson plans, but I'm not developing my curriculum like
Right.
we used to 15, 20 years ago. We used to develop the curriculum.
Right.
Now the curriculum, like I said, is laid out for you, Common Core laid out, everything is laid out for you.
Yeah.
So now you have to take that and, because the kids also are not the same.
Mhm.
Back then, all the kids were kind of, I mean, there were some that were the high aces, but a lot of them were just kind of cookie cutter,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
kids coming from a 2-parent family and both people are working and this and that. And now it's kind of flipped where it should. The kids need to be the focus of everything.
Right.
How am I going to teach them measurement with inches so they understand?
Right.
Not how am I going to teach measurement in inches and hope that they all get
Yeah.
it and teach it one way.
Right.
Now I have to teach it 6 different ways,
Yeah.
so the 6 different learning types are hits.
Right.
You you know, and there's all those, not only are those all different learning types, but maybe one learning type with ADHD. So you have your auditory kids, but one auditory kid is normal, another one has ADHD. I have my visual kids, and one maybe has a high ACEs score, and another one is ADD, well, which they don't separate anymore, but
Yeah.
you know, you have all those different things too. You have to hit.
Juggle and make sure that everybody's motivated and still learning at the same time, right?
That's why it's not so much a focus anymore of doing the research to develop the curriculum.
We're going to give that to you so you can spend more time with your students.
You're going to do your research to develop a differentiated instruction for the students that you have.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's a big switch. It's a big flip that they've done, and it's an appropriate flip.
Have you ever done, like, we did a bunch of stuff on a flipped classroom, and like I can't remember like how it pertained to elementary, but essentially like the whole deal is what was the deal? Essentially, they would take their work home for homework or watch a video or whatever you're going to have them do, and then they would come back to class the next day type deal. And instead of you teaching and like we all do our work, they do their work and you just circulate in order to help them because now.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
I've
experienced that?
Different levels. Yeah, not necessarily the second grade, but.
Listen, on the YouTube and everywhere on the internet, it looks like it's the most phenomenal thing ever.
Yeah.
I've tried it a little bit and probably it was the ages, but like there was no like leadership or initiative or like there was no parenting like
homework home. It's a tough thing with a lot of these kids.
Yeah, and that's what I saw. Like I was trying to think what it would be most appropriate for like the age level, and like I just worked at Free Water today, and 4 people out of 24 had their planners signed. You know what I mean? So there was that accountability.
You're gonna have the over-aggressive parents too, who want to help them, who want to teach them a different way, so they're gonna come and you know. So it's
we haven't learned about very many detrimental like negatives about that. So that's why I wanted to ask you because like you talked for a while. Obviously, like if you.
It's interesting, you know. If it's an interesting thing to check out.
Right.
Okay.
I only have my standards 1 through 3 here.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So we gotta look at them. So that's good.
So I think, like you said, I want to be in the classroom as much. I want you to be hard on me, like you already said you're going to be, because I want to get out of this.
Not necessarily a hard. I don't want it to come across that I'm going to be hard on you, but.
Some teachers I did not choose to ask because I did not want to have my skirt ruffled or like, oh, you did so great, like whatever. Like I wanted like the grit, like listen, you're really sucking at this, or like you can't say those things to the kids, or like you can't, like whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like I can handle that, like I play sports, like whatever it is, like I feel like that's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
Is like hitting the ropes, whatever. So.
But I also want to give you constructive.
Oh yeah,
constructive.
Good. I don't want to cry.
That's gonna be, that's gonna be the key is gonna be constructive, and hopefully a lot of things that I throw at you, it'll stick and it'll work.
Right.
A lot of it, you're not gonna. It's not gonna be for you.
Yeah.
But hopefully there will be some things that'll get you on your feet. Like I said, there's a lot more to teaching than teaching.
Yeah. I'm gonna be so excited to be in here because I really like, especially with subbing, is even like your class or whatever, I feel like relatively not comfortable, but you know what I mean, I've been here a few times, but like there's things I have big problems with, like rotations. I can never get the rotations to break out and do and transition, you know, that kind of stuff.
I could not do that was another thing. Did not like rotations until about 5 or 6 years ago, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it because I saw the benefit in small group work.
I don't know, like
that was so huge.
Just from being a student, you know what I mean? Like I've never taught, whatever, but like I don't know, like with all of our assignments and stuff about how to differentiate for the needs of all the different students in the class. Like I don't really know how to hit everyone without doing rotations or like, you know, partnering.
Even doing rotations, it's still gonna be a lot of work to get those kids. But once you get them going, it makes it easier. Your vision for each group definitely clears up.
Okay.
If you can stick with the rotations, or like that group doesn't need this anymore, they need something
sure.
challenging. So hopefully we'll get you to see how I do. Now again, I might do rotations a little bit different from somebody else, but
I have to learn one way, like especially since I've never taught before, that like I don't really know a way. So like you said, it'd be good for me to get some kind of like core skills, like you say, and then you can of course elaborate however you want later.
Get a
But
framework this year, and then you'll be able to play with it a little bit.
yeah. Okay. I think that's it
Okay.
for now. I'm gonna try and come in. Like I say, I work Monday. I can't remember, but then Tuesday I work a half a day, 11:30 to 3:30. So I was gonna hopefully come in and just to shadow, just watch
Yes, please.
whatever.
Please.
And then I'm just going to leave. Like I just don't want to be a distraction. You know what I mean? Like,
You will not be a distraction.
okay. And then those are my only 2 days that I have a sub job. So if I don't get called or like if it's not, I would rather come in here. This is going. I got to get better at being a teacher than like I can not make $80 so that I can really focus on what's important to me right now. So if that's okay with you, I just want to make sure. So if I show up in
Absolutely.
one day, like,
Anytime. We are not, these guys are so used to, I kind of have trained them, if somebody comes in, you guys just keep working.
okay,
And we're going to ignore them until we are, because their education, they know it's the most important thing in here, and their safety.
okay,
So if somebody comes in, we're going to keep rolling until
it
we're
moving.
ready to,
Okay.
we're ready to
okay,
deal with them.
okay. Awesome. Yeah.
It's good.
Now, yeah, awesome. Yeah, because like if I don't get a call or if I only have a half day or whatever, and like you obviously are teaching, then I'm just going to come in.
The more you can get in here before you start officially doing your teaching,
Yeah.
The better.
Good. Yes.
To see the transitions, to see the strategies we use, to see
Right,
all
okay.
that sort of stuff.
Because yeah, like you say too, is like I don't want to come in and not like I'm just going to start teaching a class, whatever it is, but like I don't want to come in either and be like, okay, what do you do? Like I want to watch
Yeah,
you
but
do
I'm also
it.
I might also pull you before you start teaching the class. I might pull you and say, all right, I'm gonna have you run this group. I'm gonna show you. Come sit next to me, and I'm gonna show you how we
cool.
do this one, so you can get as much like
Perfect.
small group, big everything.
I'm a hands-on kind of guy, you know what I mean? Like I can read all this stuff and understand it, but like when you really had to do it, and you got all these students with all these personalities, it's like I don't want to have to.
The curriculum too. You can't hand me this book and just say, go teach it. It doesn't really work that way. They gave us the book. They're like, okay, here you teach it. And we're teaching it. And then after we got into it, and it worked. After they got into it about a few months later, then they brought a person in and said, okay, this is what we'd like it to look like. Oh, okay, I can change a few things there. It made a lot more sense after we had taught the basic for a while.
Right.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And then we teach for longer, and then they bring somebody in, like, let's tweak this. Oh, okay, that makes even more sense. It's going to work even better.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, everything kind of works that way.
Okay.
It's not easy to teach out of a book, to teach a lesson the way it's intended out of a book.
Well, and I think the last time I taught your class, actually, then I looked for that book because I looked over the lesson and I couldn't remember. Oh, because of the new ways, there's lattice and regrouping and all these things I have not done.
Yeah.
That I wasn't sure how to explain it correctly.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so like I looked for that book and then I read all the words on the side that says like explain to the students blah 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 blah, which like I didn't say that word for word, but like I could at least grasp like, oh, okay, so we got to break these apart. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like you say, is then have like a quarter of your class does it one way, a quarter does the other way, and the other quarters are lost, and I'm like, oh no, you know what I mean? But that's why we're giving them like, you can solve it by the number line, base 10 blocks, or whatever.
That's the
right?
beauty of people hate Common Core, but it's not. In my opinion, it's not Common Core. It's the assessment, the Smarter Balance assessment, because that assessment limits it to some of the questions. The kids have to know how to do it expanded form.
Yeah.
Whereas I love Common Core, and I love this because it teaches them 6 different ways of solving it.
Yeah.
It's
crazy because in like my day or whatever it is, like you add, subtract, multiply, divide one way, and that's just what it is. And if you don't get it, then I guess we'll have to come in after school, whatever it is, you know what I mean? But like now it's amazing to see like, and to me or you or whoever, it seems like XYZ should be the easiest, or like, you guys, this was only 2 steps.
But this is what, but I taught you, and we keep saying that. But the
how
kids,
come we don't get this?
if they don't get it,
Yeah.
this is the great thing. I said, you guys, hey, solve it whichever way you like.
Yeah.
Which is your best. And I still have kids using the base 10 blocks. Most of them have kind of moved out of there because they're like, oh, well, it's easier to do 1s, 10s, 100s.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And then those 1, 10, 100s go into columns. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes more. Yeah.
Right. I did that today in 4th grade, and we were doing base 10 blocks and breaking them apart, 4 equal groups, whatever it is. And so I'm like, because like you say, I don't know like their teachers' lingo and all this other stuff. Oh yeah. Okay, done.